Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of More Than the Score. I am your host Tim O'Neill, filling in for Steve Ortman. We'll catch up with him later. Joining me, sports editor Jim Leitner. Jim, how's it going this week?
Not too bad. That busy week for spring sports, but not too bad.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of rainouts, as Steve gave us on his weather forecast last week, and now the schedules are getting crowded. One schedule that wasn't too crowded, though, was the Fighting Saints as they were in the playoffs. They wrapped up their Eastern Conference semifinal series this week. Tell us a little bit about what the Saints were able to accomplish in the Clark Cup playoffs this year.
Well, the Fighting Saints made the USHL playoffs for the 8th consecutive season. No other team in the USHL has accomplished that. The next closest team is Waterloo, and they've made the playoffs 3 straight years. So it gives you kind of an idea what the Fighting Saints have accomplished over the 8 years since they've been back in the USHL. They won a series for the 8th consecutive season. In the first round, they beat Green Bay 2-0 in the best-of-3 series. Then they ran into probably the hottest team in the Eastern Conference in Youngstown, the Phantoms, in the best-of-5 series, and Youngstown won all 3. Big key for Youngstown is they were healthy during the series, and the Fighting Saints really haven't been healthy all season. When you look at Dubuque's roster, they missed more than 170 games, man games, to injury this season, including their 3 NHL draft picks, Cole Gutman, Casey Staum, and Santeri Virtanen. They missed a total of 116 games this season, and they only played together a total of 6 games. So they had to fight a lot of adversity throughout the entire season. So for them to post a 500 record, an above 500 record again for the 8th straight year, to make the playoffs for an 8th straight year, and to win a series for the 8th straight year is pretty impressive, all things considered.
I know that's one of those sports where guys are moving on and some are coming back. What's the Saints status looking like for next year as far as guys coming back? Can they make it 9?
I think they can. It's going to be interesting, though. There's going to be pretty much a roster overhaul. One of the things that happened this year with so many injuries, it created a lot of opportunities for a lot of players. And so a lot of players actually got maybe 2 years worth of experience in 1 year because they were filling in roles that they normally wouldn't have been playing in. So the upside to this season is, with all the injuries, it created a lot of opportunities for players. They stepped up, they filled those roles, and they're probably better ready for college now that they've had those experiences. So that's the good side of it. But in the USHL, there's a lot of turnover from year to year, and I expect the same thing again this year. But even though they've had a lot of turnover in the last 8 years, they've always made the playoffs. So I'm anticipating a really busy off season where the coaching staff and the scouting staff really gets to work and puts together a team that can make it run.
All right, so moving to the other sports across the area, they're winding through the middle of their regular season, trying to get to the playoffs. Talk a little bit about soccer. I was out to cover the Dyersville Beckman girls team last week. They moved to 6-0 with a win this week and are really in strong control of the Walmart Conference East Division title race. They are 4-0 in the league, and with just 2 more wins can clinch their first Walmart divisional title. I spoke with Ashley Engelkin, who has kind of burst onto the scene as the Trailblazers' leading goal scorer after their win over Western Dubuque. And here's what she had to say about the Blazers. You guys are 5-0 now, 3-0 in the Walmart East. Just what's been so special about this season early going?
It's been amazing to not be ranked and even to come on and be 15th is a big honor, and just being able to play together and work so hard is just a great accomplishment.
You guys have put yourself in a position to do something special. There's a lot of season left, obviously, but in the lead for the conference championship right now, trying to get the program's first state tournament berth. What do you guys got to do to stay focused on one match at a time and make sure you don't get too far ahead of yourself?
I think we really need to work together as a team and come together with our passes and make sure we're working on through balls and just certain things that'll help us get ahead of the game and come out on top.
All right, today it was 2 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 40 seconds late in the first half for you. Just what happened there that allowed you to score those goals and give your team a nice 4-0 cushion at halftime?
A lot of energy. Like just being able to hear my teammates like cheering me on in the crowd, it's a big help and it just gets me going.
All right, well, we said we would have a little update from Steve, who's been out on the tennis courts this spring covering all the action. So here you go, a very special tennis report from Steve Ortman.
Hey guys, thanks. This is Steve Ortman's very special tennis report. That's right, the weather's getting nicer, guys. The tennis teams are getting out to start their seasons. It's been a slow start, but they're finally getting out there. Weather's warming up. I went to the courts this past week. First, I hit up the Dubuque Wahlert boys. They've got 7 seniors on this squad, 1 standout freshman in Charlie Fair. They're looking good. They have big expectations. And playing at number 1 for this team is a senior, Jack Lucy. And while he's no legendary Jackson Takis, here is what Jack Lucy had to say about the season. Now you're playing number 1 singles for the Eagles, and MVC, you're playing number 1 singles. You're going up against tough competition. Kind of talk about how you're learning from those battles and moving forward from them.
It is certainly radically different from playing second on the team, because sometimes there's a very big gap between the person who plays 1 and plays 2. That's not on our team, but for other teams it's pretty usual. So sometimes I'm the guy who has to be the 1 and the 8-1 instead of us winning 9-0. Sometimes I have to be the 1, but I'm up for the challenge. It's more fun, I'll say that for sure. You know, I'm enjoying it a lot more, and it's good practice, definitely.
Sure, now you guys got 7 seniors on this squad, including yourself. Julie Westerkamp back, coaching the team again. Talk about the expectations and how you guys are driving for that championship.
I mean, now that Julie's back, now that we have everything rolling, everyone practiced, we have 7 seniors. We've been waiting for this. I think everybody thinks that we're going to take it, and I think we're all confident, and we're very excited about it. We're confident, I'd say that.
All right, I also made it out to Epworth, Western Dubuque. Boys tennis team, also with big expectations this season. Number 1 singles player, Alex Meyer. He's been doing the number 1 spot for the Bobcats for 4 years now. It's his senior year. He's never made it to the state tournament. That is a big driving motivation for this young man. He's got some big goals this year. I was able to catch up with him, and here is what he had to say about his big season ahead.
Throughout the years, I mean, of course, freshman year was, a kind of a wobbly start, but over the years it's just been like grinding out, with Coach Steelman. He's great guy, just these courts coming in sophomore year really helped, but it's just been a grind.
Sure, now last year as a junior, kind of a disappointing end at districts. Have yet to make it to state. How big of a motivation is that for you here during your senior year?
It's huge. It is my motivation, because making it to state is, as this one of the smallest 2A schools in the district, it's kind of tough and it sucks, but I've been trying to get there for 4 years or 3 years, this being my 4th year, and it is my main motivation, because that's the point of playing tennis.
All right, gang, that's all the tennis we can pack into this one segment. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of Steve Ortman's very special tennis report. That's punching. You don't do that in tennis, but you get the idea. Back to you guys.
All right, well, that was special indeed. Thank you, Steve. That should do it for this week's episode of More Than the Score. For Jim Leitner and Steve Ortman, I'm Tim O'Neill. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, can you dig it? Oh, yeah. Cream of the crop always rise to the top, brother. Oh, yeah. Macho Man. You better take the bass out of your voice when you're talking to the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah.
You got that all right, Steve.